Here's 25 books to read in 2025 that will make you rich. These books definitely helped me reach millions, and I believe that the person who knows how to read but doesn't read has no advantage over someone who doesn't know how to read. If you look at the world's richest people, the vast majority of them are voracious readers. Warren Buffett reads about 500 pages per day, mainly about investments and business. Bill Gates reads around 50 books a year. Elon Musk reads several books during his childhood. Mark Zuckerberg reads one book every 2 weeks. Anyway, that's why I decided to put together a list of 25 books you need to read in 2025 that will help you earn more money. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and get a notebook to write down all the books I'm going to recommend in this video. Let's get started. The first book on our list is Start With Why from Simon Sinek. You know that whole "if you're a good salesperson, sell me this pen" thing? If you finish this book without knowing how to sell a pen to anyone, you read it wrong. That's because in this book, Simon explains the secret behind Apple, the Wright brothers, and Martin Luther King Jr. It might seem like these people have nothing in common, but they do, and a lot. To find out how they're connected, you need to read the book yourself. But just to give you a little spoiler, the book basically explains that businesses starting with their why create a sense of loyalty. Your customers don't just buy what you sell, they become advocates for your cause. For example, Coca-Cola doesn't sell soda, it sells happiness. Rolex doesn't sell watches, it sells status. I applied what I learned in this book to my own business and defined that my business doesn't sell financial education, it sells wealth building. It's a very simple book, and it helped me a lot in business because it changed the way I think about selling, and it can help you too. Definitely worth the read. Second, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind from T. Harv Eker. This book came into my life at a time when I was feeling completely unmotivated. I was on the verge of falling into those common but misleading beliefs, the ones that paint all rich people as bad or claim that becoming wealthy means compromising your principles. But thank God I read it, because if I hadn't challenged it and changed those beliefs, there's a good chance I wouldn't be where I am today, both financially and personally. You know, the idea that money doesn't bring happiness or that only the rich get richer. After reading this book, these phrases will never sound the same again. He talks about how your mindset can be the biggest enemy of your pocket. Think of it this way: if you believe you can't get rich, if you believe all rich people are bad, if you believe all your effort is pointless, of course, you won't get rich. You've already set it in your mind that you can't, that it's impossible. And to solve this, he presents something called wealth files that basically reprogram how you think about money. He completely demystifies the idea that wealth is only for a handful of people or that being rich makes you a bad person. Instead, he shows that anyone can prosper as long as they have the right mindset and clear goals. In short, easy to read and packed with insights worth their weight in gold. I highly recommend it. Third, Good to Great from Jim Collins. Do you want to have a business? You have to read this book. This book explains why some companies not only survive but dominate the market, while others get left behind. Like, do you want to be Amazon or Sears? Jim Collins analyzed several companies that achieved exceptional performance and became leaders in their sectors. He discovered that their success isn't about luck. It's about discipline, true leadership, and something called the hedgehog concept. This concept is the intersection between what you love to do, what you are incredibly good at, what can generate profit, and if you want to take your business or career to the next level, this book is a must. It's practical, direct, and will completely change how you think about business success. I highly recommend it. Fourth, Antifragile from Nassim Taleb. Imagine a glass falling to the floor. A glass that breaks is fragile. A glass that doesn't break is resilient. A glass that gets stronger with the fall is anti-fragile. With this book, you learn the secrets of anti-fragility to apply in your life, your business, your projects, your investments. It's a dense, heavy read. It's perfect for those ready to challenge themselves and think differently. If you're stuck in your comfort zone or overwhelmed by problems, this book will help you grow and prepare for the unexpected. I don't want to say too much about it because I want this reading to surprise you, so good luck. Fifth, The Changing World Order from Ray Dalio. With higher unemployment tax, worsening inflation, declining education, and poor healthcare, this book helps you understand two things: why things are the way they are, and why crises happen, and how to resolve them, and even how developed countries became what they are. It's about how empires rise and fall. Ray Dalio also helps you understand the past to navigate the present and plan for the future, teaching you how to protect your wealth even in times of crisis. It's an excellent book. I really like Ray Dalio, and I even interviewed him here on the channel. I'll leave a card to anyone who wants to watch it. Sixth, The Black Swan from Nassim Taleb. Have you ever heard of a black swan? For a long time, everyone believed that only white swans existed until someone discovered a black one. This is Taleb's metaphor for talking about the unexpected, rare events that catch everyone off guard but have an enormous impact. One recent example, the 2020 crisis. Who would have imagined that the entire world would shut down the way it did? That's a black swan. The book helps you understand two main points: how these events happen and why you can't predict everything, and how to protect yourself and at the same time seize the opportunities that chaos brings. Another dense, thought-provoking book by Taleb that forces you out of your comfort zone. It's a very worthwhile read. Seventh, The Compound Effect from Darren Hardy. Have you ever considered how small everyday choices can change your entire life? Things like whether or not to have that coffee or whether or not to take that walk today. That's what Darren Hardy explains in this book. How small actions done consistently turn into something huge. This book made me think about my own weight loss journey. At first, I thought I had to do everything at once. Train like an elite athlete, 7 days a week, full intensity. Eat perfectly without ever sleeping. It never worked for me. I got frustrated when I failed, gave up, and didn't understand the learning curve of how to build wealth. Everything changed when I changed the way I thought. The secret isn't intensity, it's consistency. It's not about running a marathon all at once, but about running a little every day. At first, it feels like nothing's happening, but over time, the compound effect works and it's like magic. This book is for anyone tired of empty promises and shortcuts. It's about building something solid, whether in business, relationships, or personal life. A quick read, but with a lifetime impact. So I highly recommend it. Eighth, The Intelligent Investor from Benjamin Graham. I honestly don't even know where to start with this one because it's a book that everyone should read before making their first investment, even if it's just $100 and in bonds. Think about it. One of the greatest investors of all time, called Benjamin Graham, condensed his decades of experience into a single book. For around $20 or even less if you grab a used copy, you're getting a lifetime of wisdom about the financial markets. The lessons in this book go beyond the surface. You've probably heard advice like, if you're not willing to hold a stock for 10 years, don't even think about holding it for 10 minutes. But here, Graham breaks down the logic behind it. The message is clear. Always invest with a long-term perspective. The market may be driven by emotions in the short term, but in the long term, it's guided by rationality. An intelligent investor knows how to spot opportunities and act decisively without falling for emotional traps. This book isn't optional. It's essential. If you're serious about investing, I'm practically begging you to read it. You'll thank me later. Ninth, The Little Book That Beats the Market from Joe Greenblatt. Want to consistently beat the market? This book lays out how you can do just that, using nothing more than basic math. It's not complicated, it's not overwhelming. This book shatters the myth that only professional investors have what it takes to succeed. Joe Greenblatt introduces what he calls the magic formula, and trust me, it's as practical as it sounds. First, focus on business. We call it return on investment with a high ROIC, the return on invested capital. The idea is simple here. because the higher the ROIC, the more efficient the company is at generating returns. And Greenblatt emphasizes that companies with a ROIC about 25% tend to outperform the market over time. Second, buy low and sell high. He breaks it down by explaining how to use operating earnings relative to stock prices to spot undervalued opportunities. If you're just starting out or want a straightforward strategy to approach investing, this book is a must-read. It's short, easy to understand, and packed with lessons that can genuinely transform how you think about the stock market. I can't recommend it high enough. This one is a game changer. 10th, Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits from Philip Fisher. In this book, Philip Fisher teaches us that investing isn't just about analyzing graphs or balance sheets. It's about understanding the very soul of business. It reminds me of what I do when I visit publicly traded companies, and I do this a lot. And also, if you take a look at the other videos on my channel, you'll notice some familiar names like the Salesforce mentor, the creator of Waze and Move It, Dev Patel, and more. I love connecting with other successful entrepreneurs. It's one of the most inspiring parts of what I do. Every conversation teaches me something new, whether it's about leadership, innovation, or resilience. And most importantly, I learn how to distinguish the companies that thrive from those that simply doesn't. I meet with leaders, observe their operations, and get a feel for how things work beyond the surface. Fisher emphasizes something powerful. The best insights don't come from reports. They come from conversations. Talking to customers, suppliers, and even employees can reveal things no spreadsheet ever will. This book is your guide to making smarter investment decisions and recognizing what separates a good company from a truly exceptional one. If you're serious about investing, this is a must-read, and trust me, you'll thank Fisher for it. 11th, From 1,000 to 1 Million from Thiago Negro, myself. This is my book. I wrote it, and unfortunately, it's not yet available worldwide. However, it's been a bestseller in my country, holding the title of the most sold book for 5 consecutive years. It's one of the projects that makes me most proud, and I'm often stopped on the street to hear stories from people who managed to change their financial lives by following the advice in the book. And it's nothing more than a recipe book. I teach you how to leave the $1,000 pocket and go to the $1 million account. Here are the main insights. Don't cut the coffee. If you reduce your life to only cutting expenses, you end up not just poor, but unhappy as well. To truly go from 1,000 to 1 million, one of the most important pillars is spending well. Spending well is not only the easiest to fix, but also the one that has the greatest impact on the other pillars of wealth building. If you are interested in purchasing the book in your country to read the full content, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to make it available. 12. The Zurich Axioms from Max Gunther. Forget everything you've heard about playing it safe when it comes to investing. This book is a reality check, but the best kind. Max Gunther shares reflections that goes against much of what is commonly thought, like avoiding excessive diversification or never trying to save a bad investments by averaging down. The secret here, keep an open mind. His ideas might sound counterintuitive, but they help protect your mind from common market biases. This book is for anyone who wants to think outside the box and face investments with a bolder, more practical approach. It's a thought-provoking read full of golden insights, and I highly recommend it. Now let's speed up things. The 13th is the most important thing from Howard Marks. In this book, Howard Marks highlights for us what he thinks is the most important thing to invest. It's a valuable book, so read this book. 14th, Narrative and Numbers from Aswat Damodaran. On this book, he tells us stories and also teaches us how to make a valuation. One day I was with Damodaran and he gave me this book signed, and it's a very special book, so make sure to read it. Then we have The Psychology of Money from Morgan Housel. It's actually one of the best available books in the market about finances, and it teaches us how to use our psychology in our favor instead of using it against us. It's a very special book. 16th, it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki. Kiyosaki was in Brazil some years ago, and I met him, and I read his book long time ago. It's a very special book because it taught me how to change my perspective. People usually spend their money on passive instead of on active things. For example, assets. You should invest your money in assets, and this book gives you this valuable lesson. I know some people in the United States dislikes him, but it's a very special book that you should pay attention to if you didn't read it yet. 17th, The Warren Buffett Way from Robert Hagstrom. Imagine one life, 100 years, but all this story on some pages. You should read it because it's one of the best finance available books telling the story of probably one of the best investors of all time, if not the best. It tells the story of Warren Buffett and how he invests his money, so you should read this book in full. 18th, One Up on Wall Street from Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch was one of the best stock managers of all time, and he teaches us a different approach to investment. He tells us we should pay attention to the real world instead of just looking on the numbers. It's a very easy to read book that you fall in love, I'm pretty sure. 19th, it's The Little Book of Common Sense from John Bogle. John Bogle is a legend in the investment world, and for those who don't know, he's the founder of Vanguard and the creator of ETFs. So, and if you pay attention, every investor in the US is shifting the way of investing. Instead of only picking stocks, they are starting to pick ETFs because it's easier and sometimes it gives us a better average return. This book defends this idea, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the best cost-return relation you should have on reading a book. Read this book, it's a very good one. The 20th is Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. The 21st is How to Win Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie. The 22nd is The Power of Habit from Charles Duhigg. The 23rd is The Art of War from Sun Tzu. The 24th is The Richest Man in Babylon from George S. Clason. And now, the best book of all time. The 25th is the book of Proverbs. Would you read a guide from the richest man in the history on how to achieve success and wealth? That's the book of Proverbs, written by King Solomon. And let's be clear, you might not be Christian, you might not want to read the Bible, you might even think religion is nonsense. But when I read Proverbs, I was motivated by its wealth-building principles, and I was skeptical at the time. I was a businessman in the financial market, and I didn't think it would be anything special, but reading it completely changed my life. Well, my friends, that's it. I guarantee that if you commit to reading at least 2 books from this list this year, you walk away with valuable knowledge to apply to your life. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these already. We are in this together. See you next time.